In this video, we will briefly explain the rules around governing body endorsements, aim to understand the new changes recently passed and approved by the UK government and the English Football Association, and understand the new concept of ESC Players. As a part of the EU, there was free movement for all members, and transfers of footballers in and out of the UK was simple, with minimal burden. The Immigration Act of 2021 ended this automatic free movement right of EU nationals to live and work in the UK. For football, this meant that the governing body, the FA, along with the Premier League and the EFL, introduced a points-based immigration system that outlined the criteria required of potential players and managers that may be transferred to the UK. Those that meet the criteria are considered as obtaining a governing body endorsement. A GBE is awarded on a points-based system and is granted by the FA if a player reaches 15 points. There is also an autopass rule which applies to those that have played a certain percentage of minutes for their national team that is ranked in the top 50 by FIFA. This includes over 70% of any of the top 50 ranked international teams or above 30% of minutes for those nations ranked in the top 10. These players are immediately given a GBE and are able to play for a club in the UK. Those that do not meet the autopass rule are required to achieve 15 points through other means. To accumulate these points, the FA also takes into consideration the quality of the selling club, the division they compete in, their league position, and their Continental Cup progression. Individual statistics are also accounted for, specifically club appearances and the percentage of minutes played for the selling club. These points are formulated based on a banded or tiered system for clubs and divisions. For example, those competing for a club in the Bundesliga or La Liga will receive more generous points as they are playing at the first banded level of clubs. The latest changes to the regulations, which will come into force for the 2023-24 season, introduced the possibility of English clubs signing ESC players. The status of an ESC player is equivalent to obtaining a GBE and allows them to register and play for an English club if they meet the alternative criteria for an ESC player in the case that they do not meet the required 15 points for a GBE or are granted one via the exceptions panel. The fundamental premise of the ESC player criteria is that the potential signing player is of an elite level and will make a significant contribution to football in the UK. The criteria requires that in the ESC player reference period, the 24 months prior to the date on which the application for an ESC player GBE is made, the player must have satisfied one or more of the following shown on screen. This makes it much easier for a foreign player to be eligible to sign and play for a club in the English leagues. However, limit still remains for all clubs as to how many ESC player spaces they have for the 2023-24 season onwards. Every club from the Premier League and through the English Football League to League 2 will be entitled to fill up to 2 spaces for ESC players. There is then an additional leeway for clubs in the Premier League and Championship, which allows clubs to have 2 further ESC spaces available if they exceed 35% of weighted EQP minutes. EQP Minutes Percentage refers to the percentage of minutes given to English qualified players by the club in question. Put simply, if the club still facilitates home-ground player development by giving them significant game playing time, they will be entitled to more ESC spaces. This is to help protect the initiative of increasing the number of players that are eligible to play for England representing the top professional clubs. Weighted EQP minutes percentage is calculated using cumulative EQP minutes, non-EQP minutes, and the total minutes from each EQP qualifying match. 50% of minutes played by an EQP of the club that has been loaned to another club will also be added to the club's cumulative EQP and total minutes. Then the final weighted EQP minutes percentage is found by using the formula shown. It is vital to understand that an EQP qualifying match simply refers to matches in the Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, continental competitions such as the Champions League, and specific stages of the FA Cup and the League Cup. From the 2024-25 season onwards, ESC Places will solely be determined by the statistics of weighted EQP Minutes Percentage, as will be awarded as shown on screen. Importantly, any reduction in available ESC places as a result will not affect players that are already permanently transferred or loaned to the club. It will only affect the possibility of them recruiting additional ESC players until they have another space available. Significantly, an ESC place may become available if after 12 months of signing an ESC player, the club applies for them to become a non-ESC player. This is possible if they meet the auto-pass percentage of international appearances, if they achieve 15 points or more for a GBE, or if they play in 25% of the EQP qualifying matches and the required percentage of available minutes. We hope that this video has enhanced your understanding of the new changes to foreign players and their eligibility to register and play for English clubs. If you have found this useful, please consider liking, subscribing and sharing our educational channel and following the Erkutsugut Academy on other social media platforms.